What's up, guys? We're back with Mind High. This is Z.
This is Ali.
This is Shaz.
Who the hell is Shaz?
Hey, who that Shaz in?
So we got a new co-host / fact checker. Right?
He's going to be checking all kinds of facts, and we're going to have so much information.
Because sometimes we are full of shit.
Yep.
And that's a fact. There's my first.
Your job is to sort the shit from the unshit.
Correct.
And anyway, so one cool thing that I want to talk about.
I gotta go.
Watching. You got to go already? We spent like 2 hours setting up because you've got like new equipment and everything.
Yeah, that was fun.
Anyway, what I was going to say was before, like literally like 15 minutes before I headed over here, I was reading or actually watching a video on this island, North Sentinel Island.
Okay.
It was on a video about the most mind-blowing facts about our civilization. And the crazy thing about this place was that it's this island in the Bay of Bengal. So in between India and like Bangladesh and all that. So this place has an indigenous people that have been simply just on their island without contact from anyone else outside for 50,000 years.
I think I read an article. I think I think it was a debate or something about interfering and talking to them, right? Or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the thing is, whenever anybody like even by accident shows up on their shore or tries to make contact intentionally, they would have spears and they're like extremely violent and they would, pretty much do anything to stop somebody else from coming in there. They'll,
right.
Kill them, whatever. But the the crazy thing about these people is that back in the days when Britain was just going everywhere and conquering, building their empire and everything. So they used to send people to these different tribes. And what they would do was they would kidnap people from various indigenous tribes and bring them back to Britain. And they would be like extremely nice to them and, give them gifts and just let them live it out for a while. And then they would send them back to their tribes. So those people would be like, man, these British people, they're like really cool. That way they'll be friendly to the British when they come over and try to take over these places. But the one place where it did not work was North Sentinel Island. So what happened was that during one of the world wars, I don't know the exact time.
1771.
That's not the
Are
World
you serious? Are you serious? Oh, wow. This is why we have a fact checker. Was it really 1771?
That's when the British surveyor John Ritchie
Look into the mic, bro.
went in there, yeah.
Went into North Central Island.
Correct.
Wow.
So it's nowhere near World War.
Nowhere near. So 1771. All right, so this is why we have him here. This is awesome.
Can you fact check him real quick?
Shaz is right. Anyway, So the cool thing about this was, so they took, again, you can fact check this also. They took like a few people, maybe like an elder and like few kids from that island, and they took them back to Britain. So what happened was literally right away, the two elders from that tribe that they took back to Britain just died right away. So that kind of gave them the idea that these people, not only can we not go there, they can't leave the island because they've been alone for so long that any like human contact could give them some kind of disease or bacteria that they're not immune to.
Right.
And they just right away they die out. And
so ever since then they just left them alone?
Yeah, they left them alone. So there's like a law that's been put in place by the Indian government. So they have like their navy or something, like one ship or something like that, which surrounds the area, and it just goes around it and doesn't let anybody in or out. Well, doesn't let anybody in.
Damn.
There's never been anyone trying to leave it, though.
Wow.
Yeah. So the one cool thing was that there was a tsunami in that area.
Yeah.
So right after the tsunami, they took a helicopter and they went over to see if what happened to them. It was a devastating tsunami. And when they went over, they saw that these people had figured out a way not to stay on lowland, but find a place higher up, and they survived. Like, they've been through this many times before almost.
That's incredible, man.
Yeah.
So during the tsunami, not only did so these were actually the Indian that went in to go check on them, make sure they're okay. And the Indian government helicopter, they were shooting arrows and stones at the hovering aircraft, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting.
Then imagine like their mindset, and they haven't seen the internet or satellites or the pictures of the Hubble telescope and the Big Bang or the gravitational waves. I mean, imagine what their science and medicine has evolved to, if you will, if they haven't been,
right,
because that knowledge hasn't been passed on to them. So for all we know, they might have some sort of information that we don't know.
Yeah,
and obviously we have a lot of information that they don't know.
Right. Apparently, they don't have fire. There's no proof that they figured out fire yet, like to create fire.
But I mean, if you were in that island, it just shows like they haven't also developed that curiosity to get on a boat and see if the Earth is really flat or if it's round. Like if you read like old books and people always wonder, is there what shape is this planet? Is it flat? Is it square? Is it round? So then that curiosity will lead to developing ships and trying to see, who can sail out the furthest and if they can come back or if they get lost and they're gone forever. Yeah. But these people look like they don't have any of that curiosity if they're not trying to venture off.
Right.
I'm sure that there had to have been someone from their tribe that was like, what's beyond the sea? There's just too much curiosity for someone to just remain on this island for that long. It says 60,000 years.
That's
60,000 years. No one was like, what's beyond this ocean? Are you telling me that people have come back from other lands to them? Don't they wonder what it's like on the other side?
But I mean, if they haven't, or if they're not trying to venture off and meet other species, it just shows you that no, that they don't. Or even some, there are probably few that tried to escape, but exactly. Technology didn't take them anywhere.
Like, my idea is that the the reason why they just attack anybody trying to get in is they might have some ancient stories from thousands of years ago where they had like some invading force and then
they had to fight off. And
now they pass that story down like, hey, don't let anyone in. It's not good for us.
Or I wonder, being in their shoe and you see another human come into your land or go on a boat. Imagine a helicopter flying, like he said. Yeah. What would you think that is?
There's actually a story during the Vietnamese War. I'm sure you guys are, you guys know the story, but when a warplane, and I believe this was either a UN, US, someone trying to help these Vietnamese people. It was a certain group, and they dropped off supplies. It was food. Just various things to make sure they're okay, medicine, etc. And once that plane dropped the thing and left, they went by again, I'm sure, and they saw that they had created out of wood this pretty much an airplane, and they were praying to it. So that's...
Yeah. I've heard some of those stories.
Exactly.
Yeah.
During the Vietnam War, right?
So that's probably how they see helicopters, but only people are trying to invade them, like the British or whatever.
Or aliens attacking you with like a crazy propeller that has some large sound, and like it's a devil.
Scary. Sure.
A devil has been demonized.
Yeah, like you look at
summoned
absolutely.
To shit, man, it's scary as hell. But
50,000. Can you imagine 50,000 years?
Yeah,
there's 60.
Dude, Neanderthals were still walking around at that time. So Jesus Christ came, Islam came, Christianity. What else? I mean, all these
Christianity came 2,000 years ago.
Only 2,000 years ago.
Pyramids were 5,000 to 10,000, depending on
the woolly mammoth. The woolly mammoth was still there.
It's a long time.
And they're just sitting there.
Yeah.
All alone, isolated.
You know how in our last episode, we were talking about Fermi paradox, and if there are other alien lives, why haven't we met them now? I mean, they're in a little island, and they are kind of intelligent life that has never, I mean, there's a city called New York, Chicago, there's airplanes, all this crazy, like a structured world, the infrastructure, and they don't know anything about this. And TV, celebrities, sports. It's kind of like weird to imagine in the same planet there's a set of human beings that are not connected to any of those.
Right.
And they choose to opt out.
Yeah, man, it would be so interesting as a thought experiment, not even, a real experiment actually, to just go and see like how they've evolved, because obviously they really haven't evolved much.
Right.
But like what...
Or what religion they follow,
Yeah, so, this is very interesting. So they had a tribe from nearby just kind of come with some Indian expedition or something, just to see what their language was, and they had no idea what they were saying.
Wow.
No idea. It was like the most alien language.
Man, what about like if back in the day during like the Roman Empire, or someone probably did land with them, or if they communicated, maybe they had some. You know how like the Library of Alexander burned down, so a lot of history was lost. What if somehow they were connected to that in the past, and they do have some of those books or something like that?
Wow.
That we just don't know of because we can't get in the world. But I mean, if they did, then they would have probably took over
Or done something, yeah.
So it's probably unlikely.
I wonder what the population is. I think the estimates are like 500 to maybe like a few thousand. It's like a really small tribe.
Couple hundred, and it varies through the years, and sometimes
season
they're lower,
to season.
sometimes, yeah. And
Shit,
it's
man.
funny. In 1974, actually, National Geographic photographer and a group of armed policemen made their way to this island, and they gave gifts. They made kind gestures towards the people, and they were still rejected, and they were still hostile towards them. So they're very much defensive of their culture and
It's
of their
cool.
people.
They still have weapons, even though they don't have other people trying to take over the territory. Somehow they're still developing weapons to protect them.
Yeah.
Probably from other animals that live
Right.
on the land, and then they're trying to use that when they see other human beings.
No.
But yeah, it's crazy because who knows what diseases that they're immune to and what we're immune to. And
We're probably not immune to anything. That's the thing. We've grown
No, they
so
gotta
much
be immune
immunity.
to something
Right,
because there
but-
are bacteria all over the world.
Yeah, but we meet other people. We have so much connection all around the world, so
The
we're
interaction.
immune to a lot more.
Oh, yeah, I would say a lot
Then,
more, but
yeah.
they also could be immune to something that
Something
we're not.
yeah.
So maybe there could be a cure to Ebola.
They're probably just
They can't
immune.
get cancer.
They're probably just immune to whatever's on that island.
Yeah.
That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that's something in that island could be Ebola and then or AIDS, if you will,
Yeah.
and they don't it doesn't affect them,
Yeah.
and they could be the cure to everything.
Right. So we go in there and we get disease. We
Extracted.
die. Same thing with them. They leave that island and they die. Like that elder
Yeah.
just passed right out.
But
Mm.
can we just Google map them, see what they're doing day to day?
Interesting.
I don't think that's how it works. I mean, I'm sure you could
Yeah, I mean,
look
why
at them.
couldn't? I mean, the
And you-
United States government could if they wanted to.
Sure, of course, but why surveillance a group that I mean, technology-wise, they're not going to show us much.
Who knows?
But yeah, spiritual-wise,
Shows
maybe
us.
they know a
Shows
lot
us.
more.
Shows us where.
Maybe
if you
they met
leave-
the real God and we're worshiping all the wrong gods.
the real God told them to stay away from people like us.
Yeah, kill them all.
It's funny that in history, no one just went like, "I'm going to kill all these people that are being aggressive towards us," and all those gifts that they received. The film directors from National Geographic, they still recorded, but from a safe distance or using helicopters, etc. They saw them spearing the doll that they received. They speared it, and the pig. And then they buried all the gifts in the sand.
Interesting.
So, my apologies.
Early on, they also believed that they might have been cannibalistic because these tribemen wear all these skulls all around them. But then it might just be that they use everything that they find.
Yeah.
So they're not eating their people, but when they die, they start using that as
Their resources are low,
limited.
so they have to,
Yeah,
I mean, that's what nature is.
very limited. Oh yeah.
But that's interesting. It's just there's also like different layers of curiosity, and they are just curious enough to stay in that group and not venture off and create rockets. So they're probably, I mean, we can look in history. Certain things didn't go a certain way. Would the whole world would we still be in that same era? Where we're in the Stone Age. If we didn't, create a wheel or fire. If we didn't create fire, how far behind would we be on things? We would probably just be that tribe somewhere in 2000.
So certainly, in my
16.
opinion, communication is the key to moving ideas along. That's why the world today is advancing so much. We have the internet connecting us all. And so all different ideas can be worked upon together, as a team, and you can be anywhere in the world and have your expertise, and you can just keep building upon ideas. And so similarly, like wherever fire was discovered, Now, if you didn't take this along and you moved on, you were traveling or someone's traveling to you, they take your idea of fire, they take your idea of the wheel, and it goes somewhere else, and it just, it's helping everyone. But if you're enclosed in an island and you're not sharing your ideas or getting ideas to yourself, you're not going to advance at all. And you see this exactly with the North Sentinel idea.
The first person to get... Yeah, I was thinking the first person to get the fire, was that an idea or a freak accident that they figured out? Something in nature happened and like, whoa, I just saw, this thing take place. A stone fell out of, a tree fell, collided with the stone, somehow created a spark, somehow.
Yeah, I mean, they always say that communication and writing is the greatest invention ever of mankind.
Yeah.
Because it's what separates us from everyone else that we know, all the other animals. It allows us to pretty much pass information to the next generation. Like Isaac Newton used to say that when he invents anything, he says that he stood on the shoulders of giants.
Right, I love that saying.
Yeah, I love it. So he's talking about all this work that's already been done. You don't just wake up and make a computer.
Right.
You start from step 1, step 2 to a million steps, and then you finally get a computer.
Yeah, so me and my dad had the same conversation, a different day, and I think he was just giving me advices on what to do in life and stuff like that. And somehow the subject came up where, I was explaining to him, like, so many great people have dedicated their whole life, like 30, 50, 60, 70 years, whatever, just to specialize on one subject. And that one subject could be, why do magnets repel from one another? I don't know that information. I'm going to dedicate my whole life to figure this out. And then they'll write. Once they figure it out within 70, 50 years of even whatever they figure out, they'll write a book. And then students like you or me that are interested in that subject will read that book in a week, a day, 5 days, and get all the knowledge that they wasted learning. And then
I wouldn't say wasted.
I'm sorry, not wasted, but spend is the right word. That they had spent. Now you read this book, and within a week, you know everything they knew in 70 years or 50 years. Now you read something, and something clicks in your head, and you're able to figure it out. So, and then you take that, and now you write a book, and then so on. Technology is growing exponentially that way because we figure out things, and then we write them down, and some students come. Now the second book will be what he figured out and what I figured out, and now the third guy's going to read that book, and so on. And
that's why Newton's quote makes so much sense. You stand on the shoulders of a giant, and literally when you learn something and you're ready to pass something on, you're leaping onto a giant, and you just keep going higher and higher.
Exponential growth.
Sure,
that's what it is.
Sure. Yeah, it's beautiful.
That's why exponential growth is the future. You have all this information, and that leads to more information, which leads to more and more, and it just multiplies and
then every few thousand years, you get a person like Einstein that takes all that knowledge from last 1,000 years and just throws you 500 years in the future. We
need those players that hit those home runs.
Yeah.
Now, is that a freak accident? People like Einstein, because he's so far ahead. Newton, especially, he was so far ahead than any of his contemporaries.
Yeah. I mean, that's when physicists and all that stuff start really taking off. When he was the first to figure out or think about what's going on with these laws of nature, and started write all these math down to explain the best he can. And then, I mean, obviously after him there was other people as well, but then the biggest one after him was the biggest, I think, of them all would be Einstein. We talk about him all the time.
I don't know, it's debatable. I'd say Sir Isaac Newton.
Sir Isaac.
Because so that's how you say it. Because that's the definition of a genius. You have like this curve going upwards, so you can kind of predict where technology is kind of going or human knowledge is going. But then Isaac Newton comes along and he says, "Screw this curve," essentially, and he just makes a huge leap. That's how you know you have a genius. Because he's making.
Einstein do that too, though.
Einstein did as well, but think about the time that Newton was in. Wasn't it 1700s? I mean, nobody is thinking about these things.
Right.
Even Einstein is unbelievable. He's definitely number 2. He's unbelievable.
I don't think he's number 2.
You think he's number 1?
Yeah.
Well, okay, that's fine. I'm just thinking of it as time, 1900s versus 1700s.
Simply, who took the biggest leap? Who took us the furthest?
Okay, tell me, when was Newton alive? When was he making these discoveries?
Newton. Isaac Newton's life, was from 1643 to 1727.
Now think about that. The stuff that he did, and he was doing it in the 1600s.
Right, but look, then
Wow.
it took what 300 years for Einstein to come along, and and that information. Then all of a sudden now you have nuclear power. You understand the universe more. You're harnessing sun energy, solar energy. We're getting towards those steps. We created rocket ships. We created
Right.
airplanes, all because of him. So who
Right.
did really impact the biggest leap? I would say would be him.
But what I'm thinking is that when Einstein came, right, he's an absolute genius, but he's still working off some of the findings of Newton. What I'm saying is when Newton
But he corrected some of his findings.
No, absolutely. But think about it. Newton is in the 1600s, and he's doing things that no one is. I mean, they're not even talking about the stuff that he's talking about.
I think they were, but they not to the extent he was. But I think it's wrong to say they weren't.
All right.
I mean, I don't
Right.
think that. I think I'm sure there were other people around the world who were like, why does an apple fall down? But they were not just smart enough to
Right.
dedicate their life to it.
Anyway, just to be clear, I'm Team Newton,
Sheep. Man,
and I can't be friends with you.
I quit.
Podcast is over.
Cut us out. Our funding's done. Man, yesterday at work, I just had this. I don't know. I just have weird moments where I get ideas and shit. So I was just thinking like, I was not thinking like. So I was thinking about if there is a God, and and I'm looking up, is he also looking up and saying, is there a God? So like if I created a simulation. And I'm God of this world, and I know I created this, and I'm controlling all of it. But obviously, I don't know who created me. So does the law of relativity apply to God as well?
Yeah.
Like relative to us, there's a God, and we look up, and then God is also looking up, questioning who made me.
It never ends.
It never ends. It just goes on. It's infinite. Yeah.
Infinite.
So like, it's relative.
I don't think it's much of an idea of relativity. It's almost like if everyone keeps looking up, there has to be a creator of some sort. There has to be someone that, or even if it's just an atom exploded one day, Big Bang, and it created all this, there has to be someone that's running the show. And
or do you need
is it
someone
just,
to run the
is
show?
it, no, well, what I'm trying to say is that maybe the answer, because after he said that, that blew my mind. God looking up and who created me, and that's a great thing to say. But I just think that answer, for me, my mind exploded, right? Maybe I'm just not smart enough, or humankind itself is just not smart enough for that answer.
That's what it is.
There's something bigger out there that's just not comprehensible by the human race.
Right.
It's not. Look, you can't comprehend infinite. You cannot comprehend the idea that it goes on forever. You can't also comprehend that it ends somewhere. Because if it ends somewhere, then what was before that? So the thing is, I don't think we have the brains to comprehend what the reality
What
is.
about AI? Would
too stupid.
we get so evolved where AI can figure out, or do the math for infinity?
Well, we hope so, because it doesn't look like we will.
Yeah, I mean,
It can.
we don't have the computing power, but maybe an AI, because each year you look at, processors are getting quad core, and then they're getting even crazier and smaller and faster.
Hyper-threading octa-core.
There we go. Yeah, get full nerd.
One thing that we believe so fully in, the Big Bang, we got to remember it's the Big Bang theory.
Yeah, but the theory is because we don't know the cause, but we do know the effect. We're looking at the effects before, like we talked about before, is leading up to everything that's getting to that one point. But we don't know what caused all that.
So one of the most interesting theories, or the most plausible one right now, is that it was a merging of universes, where they pretty much hit each other and overlapped each other, which gave birth to our universe.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that apparently the scientists are kind of stuck with the word Big Bang, but it's not an explosion at all. It's just an expansion, right? Everything was on top of each other at this one point, if you go all the way to the beginning. And everything just is moving away, expanding.
It's like a big flash.
Yeah. And it's an optical illusion. Yeah, and it's an optical illusion where it looks like everything is moving away from one point, but it's not. Everything is moving away from each other, not from any one point. There is no center point
Right.
to the Big Bang. And I really like that theory where these universes collapse and they go back into being and then collapse and back into being over and over.
Yeah, or just picture if a sun explodes, what are, microscopic or, not microscopic, but even smaller than that, what sub-universes are being born in there within our universe and within, it just goes upwards and downwards.
Right.
And it gets crazy.
And the reason why universes colliding makes sense is because where did the energy come from for the big for the big expansion, for the Big Bang? So it used a lot of energy. Like, it's unbelievable that in less than a millionth of a second, apparently the universe went through like 5 epochs.
Yeah.
Which is like crazy things happen in less than a second, like things that for us to comprehend, it's like things that would take over billions of years. They happen in less than a second because time itself was condensed in that one point.
Right.
And then suddenly time was born and all this stuff started to unfold.
What gets even crazy is probably most of us, our atoms were there when that happened. There are new atoms that are born through like sun cycles and whatnot, but maybe most of us in Earth, as we were walking, a lot of our atoms were there at that start of that time.
I'm 1 billion years old.
So the Higgs boson was born, and then suddenly you get quarks.
Yeah,
and then you finally get atoms.
So all these fundamental things start. We keep thinking, well, this is fundamental. Atoms are fundamental, but like, no, you can break this down more. You get quarks, and you can break that down, and get the God particle.
And then it's all empty.
And now they're saying they might have found a new particle. And
my God,
it's gonna, it just gets weird. Like when we think we figured out everything, and
you've never figured out everything ever.
No, in the standard model, we figured out saying that. I mean, we're not smart enough to know the math. But when they say, look at the math, it is justified that okay, this has to be all in the standard model. It can be more because we don't see any more, right? And then all of a sudden, boom, we find something new. But it's crazy, man. Most of our atoms were there at that time, at that start expansion. And now, 13.5 billion years later, we're conscious beings walking around this little rock.
What's more fundamental than quarks? What is it? Do you remember what it's even smaller?
We can't see past it.
So quarks is the end all right now.
So
our quarks were there.
Quarks. We're
now, what's to say? And I might be taking this away a little bit, but what's to say if we were there in a molecular level, even smaller than that, at that point, and we were, and we were there in that point, and somehow we came to be. What's to say when we died, we can't go back into that same? We can't keep breaking down for the next million years, whatever, and come back again.
We can come back as a star. You can come back as space time. You can come back as dust.
I just want to continue what I'm doing right now.
That's going to be hard. That's going to be up to God on how He puts you back together. So that's the best explanation.
Yeah, I mean, even after
I better start praying.
Even after you're dead and gone, to which God though? Oh, I just Richard Dawkins. He has this funny ass quote. What is he? A biologist? I think Richard Dawkins.
Yeah, biologist.
So, Give me a moment, please.
No, I think he's a biologist. He's in that field, but he has
definitely a biologist.
He has this funny as hell quote where someone asked him, when you die, God. I mean, when you die, God. No, when you die, and let's say you were wrong, and you wake up and you do meet God. What's the first thing you're gonna say to Him? And he's like, "Which one are you?" Because of all the religions in the world, which one are you supposed to be?
Seriously,
yeah. That reminds me of this one funny story I was reading on Reddit. Did you read about this one story? I told you earlier, right? About this guy dying.
This is
Maybe
great.
you've read it.
No.
But I'll tell it anyway. So there's one guy dies and he wakes up on a beach and then he looks around and there's like a party going on. There's like all these hot girls and, like beautiful blue water, blue skies.
That's my kind of party.
Yeah. And then in the middle, and then in the middle, there's Satan sitting there, right? So he goes to Satan and he's like, "Hey, what's going on here?" And then Satan is like, "Hey, welcome to hell. Welcome to hell. Enjoy yourself. Grab a drink. Take a swim. Do whatever you want. And if you need anything, let me know. I'll help you out."
Hello.
And then he's like, "Oh wow, this is amazing. Hell is amazing." And then he starts walking on the beach and he's talking to some girls and all that. And then he's walking down and he sees like a pit and there's like a bunch of people just burning there in fire. And he's like, "Oh my God." And then he goes back to Satan. He's like, "Hey, there's like all these people and they're like burning in fire. What's going on? He's like, oh, those are Christians. They want it to be that way.
It's awesome. Yeah. What about the Muslims? And the Jews?
Probably the same thing.
Yeah, they're all in there.
Another pit.
Yeah, I mean,
one heck of a stew.
if Satan is a god, not a god, but if he
What? Blasphemy.
No, but if he's like an anti-god,
Yeah.
where he's
like
doesn't bring peace, or I mean, if you worship him, wouldn't he want you on his team? Like, wouldn't he want you to have all those temptations that you were not allowed to have?
Of course.
And then if you wanted him to burn you, he'll burn you.
Yeah.
That's
That whole
interesting.
thing, just
Yeah, but
I just wonder about it quite a bit. Like, just how does it work? If you do believe in Satan, you go down there and you did what he asked. You told your mom off every single time she asked to do something. You did all the wrong things. So is it like he'll give you heaven instead? So is that like the easier way out in life?
According to that story, yeah.
which is true, by the way.
That's a fact. I checked it. I'm doing my job.
Do my job. It's your last time out. But no, it's weird. I mean, the concept of religion, it's just weird to me. And I know we don't want to talk about free will, but like,
No, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Oh God, here we go.
No, I was thinking the other day, and when I was thinking about that thought of God, and God looking up and questioning who made him. But if you look at it from the biblical aspect, right, that God from Christianity or Judaism or Islam wouldn't be looking at, because he knows he created all this and he is everything, based on how these books word him. So he wouldn't be the one that looks up and whatnot. But it's just weird that so many people, there's about 7 billion people in the world, and we just get so lost into the idea of, I'm born here in this country, I'm born into this language, born into these parents, born into this culture, born into this religion, and I don't question any of it. I don't question, are my parents right? I'm just gonna jump, on that fate that what my parents taught me has to be true, and these people have no knowledge whatsoever. They have no idea of the time history or the timeline.
And really, why would you? Like, biggest thing for me as being a son to parents, I would never want to. I would never. I would never want to disappoint them. You live your whole life, trying to make your parents proud, making your family proud. You don't want to be that guy. Like, hey, you know what? This religion makes more sense. You don't even go into it. You don't question it because of the singular fact that I don't want to disappoint anyone. And then not only is it your own immediate nuclear family, but your extended family, your family's friends, yada, yada. And it becomes an entire community that you're going to just like, you're going to shun. And they're going to look at you like, wow, so this guy decided, that this religion that we all practice is wrong. And they're not going to look at you the right way. You're not on that team anymore. So it's like you don't want to. Why would you?
Where's that curiosity in human beings to even say I'm born into this? So like, if I was born into Islam, and I, when something happens, that something crazy ISIS does, or then if you're a Christian, how do you look at that view? And if you're from Islam, how do you look at that? If you're Jew, how do you look at that? If you're atheist, agnostic, what you just by associating with ideologies, you already come to conclusions or jump to conclusions based on your skin color, based on your area, your religion, and all that, factors that come in play. So like, we're not smart enough to factor all those things in, whereas we just let us be idiots and use those conditions to decide.
And this, again, plays into the fact that you are your experiences, you are your memories. So if you are in, like, let's say a town that is all white and it's, all Christian, and, so you are just surrounded by these people's, these ideologies, you won't ever get to meet a Muslim to realize that, this guy's actually really nice. He becomes your best friend. He's peaceful. He's so cool, yada, yada, yada. And, whereas you might in another city, so you are your own, your ideas. So if you in that town, if you're living in that town that's predominantly Christian and it is what it is, and you hear these ISIS stories, then you're going to jump on that Trump bandwagon and you're going to be like, screw these Muslims and et cetera, and that's where you build up these ideas. And then the more the media feeds you, you don't have anything to fact check that, because you don't have another Muslim around you. You don't have anyone like that in your life.
Or do you want?
Yeah, I was gonna say, to me, it's all about exposure. Kind of building on what you just said. So if you're not exposed to all these other ideas, like if I'm living in a small village, or if I'm just dealing with only people of the same ideas, and I'm not being exposed to any other ideas at all, then I'm just going to stick to my values and the ideas that I have, because we're not that imaginative, honestly, because until we have these other experiences and we meet other people and we get new ideas, we're going to stick to what we know.
Right.
That just makes sense. So if I'm just living in this village or anywhere where everyone thinks the same way as I do, but internet, that's why internet is so amazing. Now you can get all these new ideas from across the sea and everything, and now you can merge and make your own ideas.
But none of that matters, even if you have internet and all the facts and information in front of you, if you're not curious enough to go to that information and really see it with open mind, right?
So how does curiosity get sparked?
Okay, I would like to say, just to what you just said, that it's all about first-hand experiences, because you don't know what's propaganda or not. You go into the 40s and there's all these anti-Japanese propaganda. Are you going to start thinking all the Japanese are bad people? Definitely not, right? Nope. So it's like it's so important to have these first-hand experiences. So like places like universities, colleges, and even high school, and that all these different systems, just being in a diverse area helps that. And that's why you see Trump supporters, etc. You'll see them more in areas that are not as maybe diverse.
But I went to the most diverse high school in the nation.
Okay.
And I'm not sure even if it is still now, but at that time when I was going, but you still saw separation. You saw each race and in that city, still clicking with, where they came from and their groups inside. I think it's just, it's a human nature to like getting these small groups and not jump out of them. And I think the thing that holds all of it back is curiosity. And it gets lost as we're children, and it never comes back. And it does for few people, right? So if something happens, I don't think the three of us will look at something and jump to conclusion using our background, or we'll use more rationale rather than irrational thinking. And I think the more curious you are as a person, the more rational thinking you'll have. I don't know.
Certainly, I mean, it makes sense that the more experiences you have, the more diverse experiences you have, the more of an open mind you'll have at the end of the day. Yeah, makes sense.
I mean, think about it for yourself. Like, what was it for you that sparked your curiosity? Personally, for me, the one thing that I think of when I watched 2001: A Space Odyssey,
right,
which is my favorite movie of all time.
Movie.
So I might have been 14, 15. I was not into, learning the truth, or I didn't even have a concept of that there's like a deeper truth to the universe.
Right.
I didn't really care. I never looked up at the night sky. So for me, that was the one thing that I can pinpoint that sparked my curiosity. I watched the movie and it had such a profound effect on me, and I wanted to learn more about the universe, and that one thing led to another. Mm-hmm. So for me, as far as I know, that was the point that triggered everything to where I am today.
For me, I think it was more, when I was like 15, 16, like I guess when, becoming the part of transitioning into adult and whatnot, and, and then going constantly, our parents would put us, after school, we will come, we would have to go and practice how to read Quran, from like a tutor or whatever you want to call them. And as we're reading, I have no idea what I'm reading. I have no idea what these words mean. And, I've been told that this is the word of God. I'm like, whoa, like you just, at that time, it's just like, it's an incredible feeling that someone that created everything, had something to do with this message. So, I took it seriously. I took it. But all these questions, what am I reading? Does this make sense? Like, why would God want me to read something I don't understand? It's just questioning those simple, silly things. We're praying. Why do we have to pray this way? And then, if you're Arabic, you understand what they're saying. So just pretty much when you read the translation, you're thinking to yourself, I could do the same thing reading in English. It sounds weird. It sounds a little weird. But when you read in Arabic and you don't know what those words mean, it sounds majestic. It sounds like a miracle. It sounds holy. It sounds spiritual. You sound so vested in this thing. And as you're praying, there's some like spiritual factor that comes in that just, you feel there's a soul. You feel that connection. But as soon as you start reading in English, like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, like this is not spiritual at all. This is not spiritual at all for me.
And as a Muslim, though, you need to read the Quran in the language it was received in Arabic, and it's almost like a rule. So every Muslim has to read the Quran from start to beginning, and that's something that, obviously I'm sure most of us have done.
Right, but like I just question so my curiosity
doesn't make sense to me either.
It started as like, why would God want me to read something I don't understand? If you really want me to worship you, why do you want me to do this? And then you will hear our uncles and people that say stupid, silly things that don't make any sense. Like they will say things like they're facts. I'm like, where is this recorded in history? How can I fact check this? Or where can I go find this proof? And every time someone will tell me something, I would question. I did really want to believe in it, so I also wanted to know more about it. So I would go do my own research, and the more I looked into it, things just didn't add up and sounded childish, if you will. And then the older I got, and then reading books and reading evolution, and then seeing where that fit in religion, then reading about Big Bang, seeing where that fit in religion, it just got confusing. And then
right, and you're young and you're trying to make sense of what you're reading, and
right.
If you're reading something and it doesn't make sense, it's mind-boggling to you. Like, what's the point of all this?
Yeah.
If I don't understand anything. Go ahead.
I'm saying also, like, I think a part of me was also trying to rebel, if you will, and growing up in American culture,
sure,
seeing how we're, coming from a Muslim background, how we're kind of kept away from things, and you're in America and you have all these temptations around you, and you're not allowed to touch most or any, majority of it. I mean, yeah, you can do a lot of things. There's a lot of great things you can still do, but I mean, there was a lot of things that you couldn't do. I didn't curse. I didn't curse till I got into college the first day. It just felt like God was watching me, and there was an angel on my right shoulder and left shoulder, and I started to, do always everything morally and ethically correct. And I don't know, the part of me that was trying to be more curious also was being rebellious, because I did want to go out. I did want to stay up late with my friends. I didn't, and then these rules that told me that I couldn't do these things, or these rules that told me I couldn't go out, or it was probably more cultural. But the thing, the things that said that my sisters couldn't go out, or they couldn't do this, they couldn't do that, and like, you're just questioning, like, what kind of God wants to, do all these things, and why does He bring us to give us life to take, give you such a strict test. It was like rebellion, that, and I think I kind of went off road and kind of forgot of all that. And then just when my daughter was born, I think a little bit before that, I think when we start touching on these topics like a few years ago, trying to understand what direction I need to take my life in, the more knowledge and information you read, the more it just doesn't add up, And then having a daughter being born now, seeing how curious she is, I don't want to take her to that same road.
And it's dangerous, right? Having preset rules and ideas that don't have basis in truth, that's very dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, going forward, we should kind of have, I don't know if you want to call it a religion or a guidebook or whatever. I think it is important because there are good ideas out there. Mm-hmm. So how do we figure out, or who do we give this task to kind of make a new age Quran or Bible, if you want to say, which or prints Torah. Out that Torah, whatever, that prints out into these books or guides that this is the way it should be. There's no one way, of course, but we've learned a lot of good things.
Right.
So we do understand what's good and what's evil. So how do we do that going forward? Because right now people say that that's what religion is good for. It tells you what's right and what's wrong. It teaches you morality.
Could you not just be a good parent?
Yeah.
Could you not? I mean, you're with your child its entire life. I mean, for 18 years at the minimum.
But how do you?
And in that 18 years, can you not teach your child what's right and wrong?
What if the parent doesn't know what's right
or wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, when
Read
it comes
the Bible, Quran.
So we're back at square one.
The answers are there, guys.
Religion is required.
No, I mean, I don't think I'm going to teach any religion to my daughter. I think it's just going to just confuse her more than it's going to teach her anything. And, you know, I'd want her to use biased, you know, if there's some information that comes out in the media, if it's just, you know, regarding Islam, you know, you have that biased feeling, even though it's wrong, you know, it's wrong. Like, you know, they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Or they don't know the whole side, or they're only looking at it from one way.
Right.
You know, it's, you got to call a spade sometimes, and
Right.
it gets weird. So like, I think there are more modern Muslims now, right? And that's what happened to Christianity. There was a reform where they don't take it as literally as anymore, because even Christianity, you're not supposed to have sex before you're married, but it's okay to do that. It's widely, it's encouraged in media, it's encouraged in,
Right.
you know, alcohol.
You're cool if you do it.
Yeah, so there's, you know, people believe it to an extent now, and I think that's the next step where Islam needs to go, and you know, and that's the step where all religion needs to go.
Especially in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I think the whole world, you know, needs to go that route, and the more modern you become, and the less and less it starts fading away and fading,
You know,
and then that's where information comes and starts overriding all that shit.
you look in the past and you look at shows that try to accurately depict history. One show, now this obviously isn't based on truth or anything, but it shows Christianity in an earlier day. It's a show that I just started watching. It's called Outlander. So you're looking in, this is like England, Scotland, in that area. And if a woman was to commit adultery, she's, you know, just killed off. And if like a kid was caught stealing a piece of bread, and he's like, what's it called when you put someone on the cross? Crucified? There you go. I mean, I just feel like that's very, very extreme. And then you look at Saudi Arabia, and that's all the way, that's history, right?
Yeah.
You look at Saudi Arabia today,
They
you
still
steal
do that
one
shit.
thing, they'll cut your arm,
it's barbaric.
your hand off.
Or your head.
They're like the island, the North Central island.
But
They've
they're
been cut
modern.
off from society.
And you know, they're just trying to protect their royal family. They don't want anything becoming strong enough to even question the royal family, and they want to keep power, and they want to keep passing it on, keep these ideas alive. And I think that's a danger in itself. You know, just that community, Saudi Arabia itself, it's a problem for the Muslim people.
Yeah,
Because people around the world look at Saudi Arabia
for guidance.
and you know what? They're no, not so much that. Anything you see in Saudi
Islamic
Arabia,
world does.
it's like, oh my God, that's where the, you know, Mecca is and all these things. So that's like the purest, that's like the central of Islam. And then you look at just the things that they follow, the amazing documentaries that are coming out, that, you know, people are going in and they're documenting these things, and there's some messed up things going on in Saudi Arabia today.
Yeah, I'm not a
And
big
it's
fan.
barbaric.
I'm not a fan.
You know, and now that all that's happening in Saudi Arabia gets depicted on the Muslim people as a general, and that's why I think that's an issue, because not in all Muslim countries would you, not in Turkey certainly, you're not gonna get your arm cut
Turkey's
off or
more
anything.
modern.
It's modern, and I feel like that's where all of Islam needs to go, and that's where, you know, if people aren't,
I think
so
all religions need to
extreme.
go.
yeah, all religions need to become modern.
Or not even modern. You just need to go. Next flight out.
You know, and you know, at an earlier thing that I said that, you know, could you not just be a good parent? And you guys said, well, there are parents that are not good. You look at criminal activity, most of those criminal activities, you know, it could be like a single mom that's she's out all the time trying to work, trying to put food on the table while these kids are out on the streets, yada yada. And you know, some things are you just cannot prevent. Even if there could be a Bible in that house, but if you don't have good parenting telling you to, you know, go read this, then it's not going to matter anyway. So good parenting is where it all starts, religion or not.
I think it's a combination. I mean, you could be agnostic and atheist, and like to your point, you could be a bad parent and can go down to shit. But it also, there's so many factors that come in play in life that will decide what type of person you are, and a lot of it has to do with the economy as well. So depending on what economic structure you're grown up, if you don't have opportunities in life, what are you gonna do? If you go to Southside Chicago, you just don't have any opportunities. You can have the best parents that are teaching you religion, and you're doing everything good you can, but there's just so much negativity around you, and the only things are legal things, and you're just already set up for failure. The school structure is not there. All the odds are against you. Only one out of few hundred or 1,000 make it out of there. So the odds are against you and they're stacked against you. And right before you're born, that's decided. So it's a combination of a lot of things.
Sure. I mean, you bring it to such a drastic situation. Yeah. I mean, where odds are all stacked against you. There's not so much you can do.
Yeah. Universal basic income.
Yeah,
it's gonna be hard, but that's gonna be the future. You gotta implement that.
So, after this horrible shooting that happened in Orlando, where the dude shot up 49 people, I think, and then some 50-some injured. It's barbaric.
Unbelievable.
And supposedly he he didn't have any ties with ISIS, but he made, according before you went out, saying that he did it in the name of ISIS, I think.
I haven't seen any proof of that. I haven't seen the video.
But he was in those gay clubs all the time.
He was there all the time.
It's not him claiming to be ISIS.
Mm-hmm.
It's ISIS themselves saying that was our guy.
Yeah, but as soon as he found out he was a regular at that club, I think they also backed out. Because as soon as you're gay, you're not welcome in that club. But
there's an important lesson to be learned here, that ISIS will take credit for anything bad that happens to the Western civilization. And
no, I don't think that's true. I think they kind of backed out after they found out that he was gay or he was a regular.
It doesn't matter. That's exactly what I'm saying. Before that, they knew they were gay. They still didn't have ties.
Right.
You think they didn't know he was gay?
Right,
he was a regular there? How does he know the...
But as soon as it did, they retracted.
I know exactly how we're going to get in there. How do you know how to get into a gay club again? You think that question didn't come up? Of course they knew he was... I don't think they had any connection whatsoever.
Right. But...
And ISIS just took claim right off the bat because, you know what?
No, I think he also said... I don't think he did just took it off the bat. I think he said a few things before he went out, too. He's been known to be he's just not a normal person.
I thought he called his wife and all those type of things. Hey, look at me on the news. Look at me on the news. Things more to that nature. Not so much unless, I don't know if he had a few drinks before he went on his idiotic rampage.
Right. So, the point I was leading up to was after it happened, how the media outcry always happens when there's a mass shooting in America. And then there was a senator from Connecticut that kind of did a filibuster to get gun control. And I think a filibuster in the Senate is when you keep talking until someone comes to a deal, because you have the floor and everyone has to listen to you. So this guy went on for 15
no time limit, yeah.
This guy went on for 15 hours, so everyone couldn't leave the room until he was done talking.
That takes courage.
Yeah, so and he became a sensation in Facebook and Twitter because he just had to keep talking nonstop for 15 hours, no bathroom breaks, no food, and he kept his people entrapped, and then also other people started, tag team, and start
tag me in.
Yeah, and then stop talking about how this continues, and we still don't have any, strict gun laws and whatnot, and then obviously the conservatives don't want any, and then Republicans do. So I started Googling what is the major difference between, people that are conservative and people are liberal. So just the definitions when you Google, go ahead, Google the definition of liberal. It's just and then Google the definition of conservative, and then you're like, what the fuck?
Liberals are ones that want change. Conservatives are ones that want to keep things
traditional values.
They conserve.
Can you read Google the definition real quick? It just
So, as a fact checker, the next thing I want to make sure is that I have unlimited data. I think I'm out. It's literally just been loading for the past.
Wow.
So your 200 words are up.
All right, guys. I guess that's what I cut out.
No, but a liberal is someone that is
That wants change. Simple.
not only change, but if he's conflicted with two ideas, what is, you do your research and you come to a conclusion and you're open to new ideas.
Right.
Where
So,
conservatives are more reserved into traditional values and keeping them in play.
I don't
Because
really-
if it has been working, why stop it?
I don't really need to fact check this, but just the fact that it's called a liberal, they're liberating from a type of idea.
Right.
Conservatives are trying to keep that idea, conserve.
Right.
So it's right there in the word.
Yeah, but the definition makes it, even more. There's a lot of keywords when you read it, and like, why would someone want to be a conservative? At least to me. And I guess if you're a curious person, you can never be a conservative, because why would you only want to, conserve your ideas to the same way of thinking? Okay, this is the best. You can look at technology and say let's conserve it. There's no need to be liberating it, if you will, like you said, to evolve it. And so like these people want to hold the Second Amendment to their chest and heart, our founding fathers, it didn't have right to bear arms, we would not have liberated ourselves to fight the army. But we have an army, we have a giant army, more established country than we ever were. We have police, they didn't have all those things, so we don't need those guns. I don't know, it's a complicated issue, but
I don't think it's so much, now that you've brought it up, that it's not having guns specifically, because you do need to defend yourself, you do need to defend your family. Now that you have a daughter, I don't think that it's quite required that you need semi to automatic weapons, where that's only required in wars where you're going up against hundreds and hundreds of people, where you need to mow down people, right? There's a guy or two coming, a handgun is sufficient for defense.
but even if you are a psychopath like this guy and then went in a club and shot 50 people, you could do that with the handgun too. You don't need
The biggest problem, no, with a handgun, you're not gonna. Do you play Call of Duty at all? You're not gonna get as many people with a handgun as you are an automatic weapon. And
what is a rifle? It gives you more range,
spread, more range, more
right?
shots per
But
second.
when you're in a club and you're point blank range, you don't need all that range.
Point blank range. I'm still saying, how many shots can you take with a
I don't think you can.
handgun at a
I don't think
time?
you can mow down people, and you got to be a lot more accurate
No,
when
you
you're
have
shooting.
2 under your armpits, you have 2 in your waist, and you have 2
You're
going
not
in.
Matrix. You're not Neo.
You could if you wanted to.
But if somebody's running at you, you got to be accurate with that
Okay,
one
you're changing
pistol.
your gun. You can.
If you have 5 people coming at you, they can take you down if you have just a normal pistol. But if you have a rifle,
100%.
you can just spread it all out. You don't have
Right,
to be
but
that
I'm
accurate.
saying you can still do the damage if you really
You
want it.
cannot do the damage an automatic weapon could do.
I don't think you can do the
100%.
same
That's-
damage.
No, hold
Here,
on.
I'm the fact checker.
I know. Okay, Mr. Fact Checker, relax. but what I'm saying is,
We're gonna do a Twitter poll.
No, I'm saying, of course, you cannot. I'm saying if you take the same scenario that happened in Orlando, right? He could have killed 50 people with handguns too. That's all I'm saying.
No,
I don't
way.
think so.
No,
How is
think
this
so.
even a question?
I'm not saying one handgun. He has 2 hands. Then once he's done with those, and he has 2 more in his
Okay,
pocket.
do you know how? Okay, have you shot a handgun before?
I have
And
not.
you're gonna say no,
Yeah.
because that makes a lot of sense, because you'll see movies where these guys are walking in Matrix and they have 2 handguns, they're shooting in
Right.
both directions. First of all, it's not as easy as you think it is to aim unless you have practice.
But what if
Okay.
you're in a club and a body of people, a sea of people is just right in front of you?
But it's not going to
Just-
shoot
but
through
okay,
people.
here,
It's not
here.
piercing bullets. So
And plus, douche, douche, and that's how it goes.
And
a
there's a-
rifle is.
Right.
Do you, do you hear the difference?
did
that
not
sweet.
come out as I expected.
Yeah. But you can go on a balcony. Some clubs have them. All you could just do.
Oh, now it's a sniper rifle. What
You
are we
can do-
using?
I'm
You're
saying
not going to do the same damage.
You honestly
with the
believe
handgun as you're
you
going to
couldn't
do
kill
with an assault
50
rifle.
people with a handgun.
No.
Hell no.
Interesting.
I'm going to need to reload my ammo.
Somebody
I have
takes his
4
ass down, knocks him
dude.
out.
Yeah. So they're not gonna be
can-
running around
I'm
for their
sure.
life.
I'm sure you can look at 2 different mass shootings where
When
one
you
has
wa-
a handgun versus an
50
automatic.
50 is a lot
There's
of people,
a reason
man.
why
What's it
this
called,
is the biggest mass murder.
Hold on. Well, first of all, how are you gonna know where this guy is coming from a club? There's so much sound already, right? There was a few months ago there was a shooting in I think it was one of the rappers, and someone caught it on their phone. soon as someone was recording like the rapper singing on the stage, and soon as I think he was trying to shoot at the rapper, as soon as he shot one shot, everyone just takes off like crazy. No one's looking to see where the guy is shooting from. Everyone just knows something bad is happening.
But even then, a normal pistol has recoil. So you, like you said, you go boom,
and your hand goes up a bit.
Boom again, and even then you're injuring a lot of people. An automatic rifle, you just shoot.
Have you seen like
how many rounds can you get off in like 10 seconds?
Just go look at Call of Duty. You're shooting way more than you are with a handgun. Handgun's like 8.
I don't think a handgun goes boom. Boom.
I shot a handgun.
Right, but there's guns. Handguns are almost like some they're pretty fast too.
No,
like
they're not. Okay,
why don't you fact check the amount of bullets you can release in like say 10 seconds? A pistol versus a rifle.
Why do you need 10 seconds to kill 50 people? You can have a minute.
Okay. Even in a minute.
He was apparently there for hours, by the way.
Yeah, he was there for a long time. He was holding people hostage. Like
I feel like if somebody has a pistol, I feel more comfortable with a bunch of people that you can take him out rather than when he has a rifle where he doesn't have to be that accurate.
Right. No,
There's all these bullets flying.
This is how we solve this, guys. This is how we solve this. We're gonna put a poll on our Facebook page, facebook.com, and just search Mind High Podcast. And we're gonna have a poll up there because obviously our co-host here is not understanding that a handgun shoots quite a bit slower than an automatic weapon.
No, I'm not disagreeing that. I'm saying
obviously the faster you can shoot, the more you can kill.
I'm saying
I'm relaxed.
I'm saying the assault rifle is more dangerous. I agree 100% there. Okay. But I'm saying that a handgun can, given the length of time, he could kill 50 people with a handgun.
It's a lot more inefficient to carry that ammo, to be reloading, unless you're like a trained Marine or something.
So you're saying there's no way possible he could kill 50 people
I
with
think
a handgun.
in that time, he would have a lot less a success rate than if you were to have an automatic weapon. I don't think he would have pulled off what he pulled off in Orlando.
Of course, anything is possible, but you give somebody an automatic rifle and you're just making it easier for them
his
to be a
chances of
psychopath.
Success goes high.
I agree. So what I'm saying is, if we even take those assault rifles away, right now imagine they're gone from this country. Now you have handguns. Now you have handguns.
I'm saying,
is it really going to stop people from doing these type of things?
Nothing's going to stop them. They're going to find ways to kill. That's going to go on.
So do you think people are going to still find ways to kill 50 people with handguns? Okay, that's
it.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
You just lost the debate.
You just bring 5 people. All 5 of them with handguns.
You honestly don't think one guy, if he was trained, cannot do it?
Trained.
If you're trained, depends on how much training you have.
So you could kill 50 people with a handgun then.
He wasn't trained. He was some.
I'm not saying trained. I'm just saying. Is it a
time out? That's unfair. Okay. This guy was a person who went to this club. He went to this gay club. He got kicked out a few times. He was abusive towards his wife. He was a nutcase.
Right.
He went in there with an assault rifle. He should have never been able to buy that assault rifle.
And handguns.
He probably didn't use the handgun much.
He did. Once you ran out of bullets, I'm sure you used his handgun.
Well, I'm sure he got 50 from that assault rifle.
Okay, so what's the conclusion? Like, where do we draw the line? Are you saying that we should just take all guns out? Or
that's what
you need self-defense. That's our Second Amendment right.
Is it?
I think we simply should not not be making it easier for psychopaths to kill a large amount of people.
We need to curb it.
It's definitely need to be more. It needs to be more regulated, right? So there's barely any regulations. Like, it's so easy to get a handgun.
Like, what does a normal person need an assault rifle for?
Yeah.
Time out. There's an interesting fact that I read that this person. Time out. Let me do my job. Excuse me. This guy was actually reported by the gun shop's owner. He reported this person to the FBI that this guy is buying these things, defense armor, and
he was already on there.
All these things. He might have already been there, but then he got again. He was so this guy's buying these things.
Yeah, he was on the no-fly list, and apparently he still was able to. No-fly list.
All these fantastic things. Okay, and then he was again reported to the FBI. Right. And they failed. They failed to stop this guy from what happened.
Right.
This guy isn't some, Islam, God told me. This guy is just a nutcase.
According to his father, he's not religious at all.
He's gay. Okay? Yeah, and to Islam, that's blasphemy, right? To any religion.
Right.
I mean, you can still be gay and be religious, but...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he was just not religious. That's all. According to people close to him.
I mean, it is a complicated issue, right? Do we need guns? in this world probably we do, right? But
Unfortunately.
to a world that we would want to live in, would we want to have guns? Like if if there was such a utopia.
I mean, then you give the power to, like, for instance, if the normal citizen isn't allowed to carry a gun, and the government has all the guns, the army has all the guns. Now you're like, the right to bear arms is there for a reason, so you can protect yourself and you can be on a standing ground with any criminal, because then the black market will have all the guns, right? Like, people will find a way to get guns in because they've been invented.
Sure.
They're there. Yeah. You'll make it in your basement. Yeah. So the guns will be there. So how do we punish this properly? And how do we make it harder for crazy people not to get their hands on these incredibly powerful weapons?
Right.
I swear, you can just... I feel like you look at this guy's picture, you can just tell. I feel like if I was a gun owner and these guys just give off this look that I'm like, this guy looks like a nutcase.
He does look like a serial killer.
Yeah, we're just judging him, post-judging him.
Just judge.
Look, there's a reason why your brain has given you that power to judge. Yeah. It helps you. It's an instinct,
I mean, all those things are there to help us survive.
Yeah.
But I don't know, judging can also backfire more than it,
Sure. I mean, you could totally be wrong about someone.
There's a positive and negative to everything. I think it helps in some situations. Yeah, there's some situation where it doesn't help, or maybe it helps all the time and we just don't realize it.
I like what you said though. Like, even if we were to get all the guns away, then who you're giving all the guns to, and that's the government. And if the government goes wrong, then how do you fight back? And then
which it already has.
Okay, so pretty much the whole reason why that's even there, that amendment, that the right to bear arms is there, is because that's literally how we gained our independence as the United States.
Our founders were super smart.
Our founders
and they also had slaves, so let's not get too far.
They also had slaves, but that's a product of their time.
Certainly.
I'm sure. So wouldn't guns be a product of their times?
Yeah, I mean,
they made an amendment.
I think 100 years down the line, we're gonna look back at something we're doing right now, which seems okay to us.
Yeah.
But then 100 years in the future, they're like, man, these guys were animals.
Right.
Just like we look at slaves, we don't even know what it is.
Right.
But I think there will be something. It's
like,
the times, man.
Like what? I mean, maybe they can look. I guess everyone will go vegan.
Yeah, they were eating these poor animals.
Yeah,
these
maybe
God, I can go for some meat.
Sick bastards. Yeah, I mean,
who knows?
I know. Let me tell you right now, I'm a fact checker. I'm a new fact checker.
New fact check the future.
Fact checker 2.0.
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, it is complicated, and I think it needs to be regulated. We don't need all these crazy weapons. Yeah, pistols and something.
Can you buy grenades?
I think you still can in some cities and states and whatnot. Yeah, but
someone's taking my house.
I mean, people could buy grenade launchers and bazookas and all that shit.
No, you can't. That's a fact.
Unless they recently stopped it, but I mean, there was a point where you were allowed to buy those things.
Well, damn. What a time to live in.
Yeah.
There was a movement during the Great Depression. It was some kind of new movement where they wanted to have people like scientists and engineers and just really smart people to be in power in politics.
Yeah.
That should have taken off. I feel like that will solve a lot of things. We just don't have the right people in power. The people that we have in power right now are the people that just want power for the sake of power.
Right.
We need people that want to make a change and that understand the world, scientists, engineers.
No one in this world wants to, people do want to make changes, but, I feel like greed is the human being's biggest downside. Every human being has greed. Every human being wants the nicer car, the nicer apartments, the nicer houses. That's always going to be there. That's why an idea of a utopia is just so impossible.
I don't think everyone wants it. I think people that want it end up being in power. So those people always end up being in control of something. But I was just say some shit. But
the way the whole political system is set up for us is so bad. You pretty much have to be corrupt to climb the ladder.
Yeah.
You have to play. Yourself. The game is already set. Yeah. You can't change the game. You have to play the game to reach the top. That in itself tells you that we're not going to get anything until we get a revolution. We need a complete overhaul of the whole system to move forward. Yeah. And I don't know how it's going to come. I think internet is the biggest thing that's getting all these ideas spread across the world.
You can bullshit anyone anymore because.
Oh, you can bullshit.
I mean,
you can totally bullshit.
I mean, like
the whole
on
political system bullshits all the time.
I mean, on like a very high scale, you can't get away with the things that you could get away from before.
Donald Trump does all the time.
That is true. Earlier on, I was talking about that thing during World War I, and I couldn't bullshit that at all.
I'm saying Donald Trump gets away with it all the time.
Yeah.
You know what? He's plummeting in the polls.
Yeah,
recently.
Majority of people can't because you can just pull out your smartphone and just,
fact check.
Yeah, is this guy saying, is it true or not? But I was watching Real Time with Bill Maher on HBO, and there was a guest on, I forgot his name, and they were talking about how, I think it was a lady, but she lives in the U.S. and she's a reporter, and she was talking about how in Australia they made it a law where everyone has to go and vote, and she's saying that the United States should pass a law where it forces people, if you don't, you get a fine or a ticket or something like that, right? If you don't go vote, that you get penalized. Because right now, even in the whole election, I think Hillary Clinton got 13 million votes. That's nothing compared to 300 million people that live here.
Oh my God.
And then Bernie Sanders got probably, I think, 10 million, around that. So, overall, out of the 300 million people in this country, let's just say maximum 50, 60 million people voted. So everyone else is just a bystander, if you will. So if you were to make a law and force all these people to go vote, and, Bill Maher, I always thought that would be a good idea because I think Barack Obama said something good that I liked a few days ago, a few months ago, where he said if 100% of people of the voted, there will be no corruption in politics because everyone would have to, elect a president, elect senators, and then understand who these people are and make sure they're fighting for the right policies and all that stuff. It makes sense when you look at it that way, but Bill Maher also makes a very good point. He's like, you don't want everyone to vote, given the fact how majority of the U.S. is just plain stupid. They're so stupid. Just look how many supporters Donald Trump has, right? So if you start giving these people a voice, where would they take you? If you start giving like people that are super religious and start voting on laws to stop women to, have a right for abortion, if you will, or to allow these weapons and grenades to continue so they can protect themselves for whatever attack that they're thinking is going to happen that never happens. You start giving like these idiots a voice. So do you guys think it's a good idea to have everyone vote or let the current system be the way it is?
So are we talking about people voting just for the president, or are we talking about even from the local level?
Yeah, mayors,
everything.
I think in Australia, at least for the major election, they all have to vote for a president or prime minister or whatever they call it.
To me, that still doesn't fix it because the problem starts at the local level. Because the ideas that you vote for from the local level is what springs up to the top. Mm-hmm. So if you're not electing the right people from the root, from the local base, then how are your ideas ever going to get to the top? Anyway,
they have to climb.
So I'm saying, even in the local level, right? Should we force everyone to go vote, or should we leave the system the way it is, and the people that want to be involved in the political process, let them be involved?
So the issue I see with this entire thing is that you do want everyone's voice to be heard, right? That's the best thing. But how do you make sure that they are informed? How do you make sure of that?
Well, it's simple. First of all, in the future, I don't think we need we don't need representatives at all. We have the internet, which is a great invention. We need to figure out a way that we can vote directly on causes and issues, and we don't need a representative to go there and vote for us.
But there's
because you're only voting for super delegates, right?
That's where corruption comes in,
right?
Because you vote for representatives, and then they
vote for something completely opposite.
Yeah, they're not voting for you now. They're bought out by lobbyists and people with money.
Yeah.
Okay,
so I want to vote directly for the causes.
Okay, so and I agree, but like I just got thinking, based on what Bill Maher said. I mean, out of the 300 million people, how many people do you think are really, really stupid? And
a lot.
Is it a majority?
Hey, that's democracy, man.
I'm saying, is it majority?
Certainly a majority.
I think so, yeah.
So, like, people that are saying there's climate change and there's a majority think there isn't, would you ever get a law passed if people are not smart enough to understand? Because they're, and then what laws would they dictate to kind of backfire on this whole system where you just have a bunch of dummies voting on things they don't understand?
National Day.
Keeping a society back. Like I think I was just reading an article where the mayor is putting in Chicago trying to pass a law to ban or make so many crazy restrictions on Uber where they will force them to leave the city, and that's, I'm sure, has to do with a lot of lobbyists from the taxi side.
I really want to chime in here because it's funny. I was taking Uber the other day, and the lady talked about this bill being passed, the one that you're speaking of, but the mayor's like brother somewhere, someone really close to him, holds a pretty decent amount of stake in the company, so it got like a 6-month
In what?
It got pushed away for 6 months.
Extension?
A 6-month extension for voting on it. So, because it's like the busy period, as quoting her.
Wait, he owns.
He owns them. Yeah, let me. If I have any internet left, I would like to check who. But someone really close to the mayor. Someone. Yeah, that's why I said that. That's something I have to upgrade. Sure, but I'm saying that someone dummy. Close to the mayor, it's like a brother, something close, has like really a lot of money invested in Uber.
Then why would they want
this is the busy period.
Why would they want to restrict it at all? I mean, it's coming from the mayor.
Yeah, I mean,
because there's bigger lobbyists at play. They're trying to give a little piece to them, and then the bigger piece to the others.
Because it's pretty much taking jobs away from the people that have the barrier to enter that market. Yeah. It's just so stupid. It makes no sense. I read that 7 or 5 proposals that they made, which is just stupid. It was just like, how the hell are they gonna? I guess this conservatives will come in, right? Because they want lesser government. They don't want government to intervene and stuff like this, where you have a new business model that's more appealing to the market. It's more convenient to the market compared to the archaic system that we have of taxis, and they roam around. Mm-hmm. And you gotta flag one down. If you're in a suburb, you can't find one. You gotta call one in. This old stupid system where there's a newer system where there's more security. You know who the driver is. The driver knows you. Security works both ways. Where the driver at 2 a.m. doesn't have to be afraid for his life. Who's he gonna pick up next? How are they gonna rob him? There's no cash involved. It's a cleaner system. And it's creating more jobs. Why would you want to take that away to protect something that's dying anyway?
Once again, it's sad that common sense and fairness doesn't really matter.
Right, money. Yeah, money talks, man.
Politics is such a broken system now, man.
City of Chicago is known for that shit. I mean, the medallion people or the taxi companies that the taxi lobby has been. They made so much money in here from like the 50s, just to until Uber showed up, and I'm sure they have friends that still are sitting on those seats that are doing these favors for them.
So I just read up a little bit more. It is, in fact, Mayor Rahm Emanuel's brother, and his payday could be worth up to $1 billion.
Nice.
$1 billion. So, yeah.
So why would he want them out then?
I mean, this is a legislation that
they're getting $3 billion.
They want to level the playing field,
But they're getting $3 billion.
But who cares?
From the other guys, too. So they're trying to get both paydays.
But who cares? Leveling what playing field? I mean, isn't that what capitalism is?
But
Let's
dude,
let the best idea win.
Screw everything. $1 billion.
Yeah, I mean, but then why don't we do?
You know how many zeros that is?
Why don't we do anything to Walmart? Why do we allow them to kill all the mom and pop shops? And
Chicago's ordinance considers Uber to be an illegal cab service. End quote.
Wait, mom and pop stores don't have.
They're delicious.
They don't have lobbyists.
They don't. That's why they're out.
That's the problem.
But I mean, still a similar concept. A new business comes in. Why didn't we do anything to protect them?
I mean, if you have a lot of money, that's the best thing you can spend it on. It's on influencing politicians. That's what you do.
I could hear you.
Money is power, and power is money.
Yeah.
It's a vicious circle. And it was a system created by the very smart people very early on. Do you think
the same people, I fear, sometimes will stop Elon Musk from being who he is? If these Teslas are going to be so successful, what's to say then they're going to start banning these driverless cars because now all of a sudden Ford is not making their money or Chevy's not making their money. You know what I mean? And they have friends they're already deeply rooted.
I'm sure there's quite a bit of lobbyists or something's got to be going on against these Teslas because they're going to put all these oil oil-rich nations out of
Can't
business.
stop it, baby.
almost.
Can't stop it.
You sure about
Some-
You've already
some-
pre-ordered. There's
Some things you can't stop. I mean, what, 300,000 pre-orders already for the new Tesla, and the future is here and it's coming really fast.
all,
I mean,
all you need is one bad accident or two bad accidents to get all that stuff banned.
you still
know what?
have
They could
bad
fake
accidents.
those.
Yeah,
could fake
but,
those.
but you look how the politicians will sell it though. It's at them, right? Whoever controls them, you and I would have no say.
And they could put anything out into the media, like, okay, these self-driving cars are not as safe as you think they are. They could publish a few stories, throw it up on any national outlet, and you know what? People will believe what they read, and that's, we say that this world is full of idiots, and this is just how it is,
No, but-
and they will buy exactly what they read.
Unfortunately for them, we have enough people that are smart enough that will buy the Tesla, and
Even-
that's a
okay.
big enough market for them. And I'm gonna look at it more optimistically into the future. There's gonna be a future like Ray
There's no hope.
Kurzweil says about the future, that he predicts that maybe, is he still alive? I don't even know. Anyway,
Let me
so
check that.
Let me call him.
apparently by like say the year, I might not have the exact year, but maybe like by the year 2030, there's going to be the majority of the cars will be self-driving, and that by say 2040 or something, every car will be self-driving, and it would maybe even be illegal to drive a car by yourself because that causes more accidents
Yeah,
versus
absolutely.
a self-driving car, which is automated. And I can't wait for that future.
You know what?
I can't wait
Because
to sleep.
You can't
Just listen to a podcast, just fall asleep.
Or host a podcast.
Do a podcast.
wake up at work.
Amazing. What I think on the Joe
breakfast
Rogan
on your way.
podcast, remember they talk about with Duncan Trussell that his dream is
Yeah,
to
yeah,
have
yeah.
like
Trussell's the
A
man.
pod.
like have a house, like a living
Yeah,
room,
I
which you're just chilling in, and it takes you places.
Yeah.
Why not?
Love it.
Just triple pole in the middle.
Yeah.
If everything is automated at one point, then I mean, it is gonna just be like you're sitting in your living room and you're going wherever you want. Hey, let's take a road trip to Florida, and once everything is automated and human mistakes are taken out of the question, there are not going to be speed limits because everything's going to be automated. You can go at
10 miles per
freaking
hour.
like 500 miles per hour just flying through
Can't
the
wait.
places.
Yep.
And by then we're gonna have things that are even faster. You're gonna be traveling like around the speeds of airplanes. You're going to places in your car to like towns that you want to go to. Right now, I mean, it's like 14 hours to get to Florida from Chicago. You're getting there in like 4 hours.
Yeah.
And just think about how amazing of a future that'll be.
Still not satisfied. I'm waiting for light
Teleportation.
speed or teleportation.
All right, let's
Yeah.
go ahead and troll what I'm trying to say. But I just think
Absolutely.
even 3-4 hours for me to just step out and be in a place that's like
How-
40 degrees warmer, that's a plus.
Or colder.
As you talk about these,
I'm going to Florida for a reason. It's going to be warmer. I'll
Don't
check
know
the
why.
weather. There's still internet there. We didn't lose that.
I'll go to Cali.
I'm going over the wall.
It's not like
The Donald Trump wall. It's a one-way ticket, though. You don't
Yeah.
get back in,
all
unfortunately.
apparently there's a big fat door. As long as you come in legally, you're okay.
And it's
But-
covered with gold.
Yeah. But I was gonna say, like, it sounds cool to hear all those things that are gonna happen in the future,
They never will.
or they will. But the
Well,
The
if
big
the
question-
future ever comes,
no
don't forget that part.
no. I was just thinking
Creepy.
I was thinking how long is this gonna last? Like
How long is what going to last?
Well, apparently,
Resources.
we
mean,
still-
Well, resources are already
We're-
going to a point where we're absolutely screwed
I mean,
because
it's a-
already in California, in United States,
we'll start
we're
making
running out of water.
We'll start making meat
I
in the
mean,
lab, synthetic meat,
Yeah,
and
Hey, as long as they keep the protein in there.
manipulate all those atoms, and 3D printers will print food.
but the selling point.
The future is bright, guys. Future is bright.
Prince,
over,
hey,
dog.
is that in 2001 Space Odyssey where they go up to a machine and you just kind of like
They have an iPad.
beat it, boop, 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 and food comes out of
Yeah,
there?
yeah, synthetic food.
Yeah.
It makes food right there, just like the Coke machine.
You know what? You don't need 24-hour White Castles anymore. You
Dude,
just
you-
go up to this machine.
3D
You know
print,
what's
you print
really,
a cow every day.
You know what was really cool? I forgot. This was in Atlanta. They have this cupcake place, right? It's called Sprinkles. It's like the greatest cupcake place ever. And you go up to
Says who? Fact check.
it. Well, fact check, or was that fact check?
Fact check.
No. So you go up to it and you press buttons, and it gives you this delicious fresh cupcake.
Damn. And it's 0 calories.
It's like 300 people
it's a
behind that
miracle.
machine.
You don't even know.
It's touching you, but they're taking like orders and making one.
You're actually touching them.
Yeah. But what was I gonna say? I don't know. Going back to like the point of how long are these resources gonna last? It is, or to your point, you know, if we create synthetic meat,
It's already here. It's very expensive. It's like $50,000 for like a cheeseburger.
Sam Harris was talking
It's
about.
gonna be a delicious cheeseburger.
Sam
Yeah.
Harris was talking about how what's it called? You know, if you bring like morality into it, right? And if you can take a cell and you know you can create a synthetic meat that's made in a what do you call those chambers? What's the name that they use?
Where you're
No, where the meat is produced, where you let it grow.
In a vat?
Yeah,
Yes,
well,
that's
there we go.
exactly, yep.
So like, what if someone wants to eat he said it like, what if someone wants to eat a human meat? Can we let them? And
no.
you know, like, because it's not a real human meat. It's
Yeah.
just you just take someone's cells and you let that cell grow into meat, and
Yeah.
that's someone that has a taste bud for human meat.
Bison burger.
Where do you draw the line?
That's the $1 million question.
Like, would we allow that?
No. You know what?
I think you should.
time out.
If someone wants to.
What?
Man, what is that
It's
teaching
not like-
you though?
You
man?
develop a taste for human beings.
But you're
And
not-
then you go around
know.
sniffing humans. You smell real good.
I like
Angus human. That's weird.
Put some barbecue sauce on that human boy.
Grill him.
but it's not really a boy. It's
Medium
just fake
well.
meat that we produced in a lab.
No, I understand that. So morally, it doesn't seem like there's anything wrong with it. But damn, is
Sure.
it weird? Maybe in the future we'll be okay with
But-
it. But right now,
But then eating a cow is perfectly fine.
perfectly because I'm used to it.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm
It's
used
what
to
you're
it.
used to. It's what you that's part of the culture at
Yeah,
the
the
time.
bubble that you were
What
in.
is the meta? And
That's
know,
a
you,
crazy question.
But you honestly think that we shouldn't?
No, I said there's nothing morally wrong, right?
Right.
But like,
If you're
think
not
about it
creating-
yourself.
Time
Like,
out.
I don't know what to say to you right now. It's such a
I mean,
crazy question,
time-
you know?
It's just
It comes down to if you're creating the entire human.
I want some human meat.
I will take a burger out of you. No, it's like it comes down to the fact that if you're creating the entire human, or are you just creating a part of the human that I'm not gonna feel bad about killing someone as
not-
an individual as a whole, or I won't
No, you
mind
just take
chopping
cells-
off his leg.
No, it's no actual human body part. You just take. If I take a blood test from you, are you gonna die? If I take like a small,
Maybe I'm kind of hungry. So.
my sugar is low.
My sugar.
I'm
But-
speechless, man.
What they're saying is they can take like a small few blood drops from someone and grow that into.
I think I have the
a sack of
answer.
meat.
I have the answer.
You always have the answer.
Yeah, I am the fact checker. If it tastes good,
Yeah.
if it tastes good,
If there's a market for each buyer, there's a seller, right?
Oh my god! You know what? New York has the best human burger. It's so delicious.
Well, it actually wouldn't be human. It would
So
just
weird.
It would be human. It's part of
No.
human flesh. Is human DNA
I
that
don't-
you're eating, correct?
I mean, what is human?
what?
I'm asking a question.
What is
I'm not
human?
actually-
It's our DNA strands that make us.
But I think all those equal to human. I don't think I could take a cell by itself and put it in a petri dish. Would that be human?
No.
No, right? So
It's
that's
like-
unhuman.
So what is it?
It's a very
It's
What
very
is it?
unique combination of atoms, however you want to put it,
Right.
which we put it together and it creates us somehow.
Yeah, I mean,
Put it in a
it's just
taco.
it's just a cell that we took out of one human and then reproduced and genetically modified it to turn into a meat. So yeah, it started from a human. It's not
Is that
it-
the meat Taco Bell uses?
probably. That's why it's so.
Just genetically modified.
Damn,
Just-
dude, this is the craziest question ever. I have
I
like my
cannot be a
mind just
human.
when you
Yeah, it
asked it,
is.
my mind just went blank. I have no answer. Like I don't know.
But
what
You
the
got
hell
mind
to say.
blown. At least you
No,
are
I-
ahead of your time. You have found a
No, it's
market.
not.
That's your
I mean,
niche.
That's
Take
what
it.
that's what Sam Harris said, like
Yeah,
on that
burgers.
podcast that he was on Joe Rogan like
remember
a few
that.
weeks ago.
Yeah.
But when he said that, I'm like, holy shit! And it's always fun to walk your brain through that exercise of no, it's wrong, but okay, why is it wrong? What is so really wrong about it? And yeah, maybe it is wrong, but I'm just starting to have a conversation here.
Like
but
think about it for yourself, like pork, right? I would never eat pork because I never have.
Yeah.
And there's such a stigma to it growing up, and even now I know there's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
But I'll never eat it, and even the smell of it just disgusts me.
What if it's reproduced in a lab and it's not a real? It was never a living thing. It
I wouldn't eat it.
So you wouldn't even eat a cow.
Yeah,
then?
I'm just not used to it.
Grew up,
So we don't have a solution then. So
there won't be a market for it.
No, I mean, but that market.
Time out. So there's I forgot the river in India that you let
the Ganges.
The Ganges, thank you, the Ganges. Once someone is deceased in your family, you let them float down that river, and that river leads them to a type of people that actually are carnivores. They eat human. So you know what? That's your market, buddy. You go over there and you tell them, "Hey, I got this awesome burger, and it's made out of humans. We got this sauce and condiments.
We can't be reproducing meat, cattle meat or chicken meat at the rate that we're going right now. There's no way we can sustain that, right? So this is the alternate to create lab meat. And if it's synthetic, someone would eat it, a meat that's produced in a lab and have an actual cow meat, if they can't tell the difference, should we not continue this way and not have?
You go the lab way, 100%.
Right. So
you don't need to put anyone through suffering. If I can just be like, you know what, today I feel like eating filet mignon, and just print out or take it in the vet and make me that part of the cow.
Someone wants a gorilla, someone wants a giraffe.
But just fine-tune this and make it as affordable as possible. Then you know what, that solves a lot of problems, because there's so much is that the answer to solving world hunger, that all your dollars just go towards creating these products in vets, and you get technology down to a point where it's so cheap to make. It's cheaper than
it's cheap right now.
It's cheap, yeah. I mean,
it's cheap right now. We just don't care.
We have
what do you
more.
Mean it's cheap right now? You just said it was $60,000 for a burger.
I'm talking about meat that's out there, like
grains.
Just regular meat, grains.
Grains. We can feed the poor on grains alone, but
easily.
But we have so much land and agriculture to feed the 1 billion cattle that we have alive, that we need to keep feeding them. We'd rather feed them than feed the poor.
So you know what? Then we don't have any cattle to feed anymore, because you're just creating them in a vet, and that can certainly go to people
that's a sustainable way. I mean,
it won't. President,
it won't.
Let's do it.
I don't think it's gonna solve world hunger, because money will always come into play. Whoever controls that will never keep it for free. They wouldn't.
The top 5%, all that money is just locked up, just sitting in banks. It's doing nothing.
The research and development in the beginning.
What a life.
The research in order even to start that, you need R&D. You need millions of funds to even continue that research. And once you develop it, you can patent it. And once you patent it, you can make money off it.
And no one's gonna let you get out with that idea, because if it takes away from them, so the top 5%, the top 1% that have all this power, will do what it takes to make sure they don't lose that power. If you're winning in a game of, let's say, 21, you're gonna try your hardest.
Unless you're Elon
Musk.
You
are an outlier then, because people like that.
No, he's more curious.
No, I'm saying he's an outlier, meaning he's different from the rest of the people that are in his level.
Right. So I think he's more curious about the universe in general. To your point,
so he doesn't care as much about money as much as he does about how do we advance humanity.
Absolutely.
We need more of him. We need more of these outliers.
Right.
Dude, going back into that whole cannibal thing that you were talking about before, like eating human meat that's made in a vat. So
that's still stuck in your head, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, because I was just thinking about it, and I was thinking about, okay, so hold on, I got this
He's
one
still
thought.
Shocked.
Can you explain the wet process? I guess I don't know if you explained it clearly.
Well, I don't understand it fully. I just understand it as just meat that's created in a lab.
Right.
And it's just put in a vat, and it grows until it reaches the point of maturity, and it's made into that body part, whatever you're trying to make, and you can eat it now.
Steak.
So anyway, so what I was thinking was, because I was thinking about the whole pork thing with me and, obviously a lot of Muslims. So I was thinking that, okay, so I'm not going to touch human meat, but I think ethically it's okay to do, right? Just like pork, I don't have any problem with other people eating it. So I'm not going to have a problem with somebody eating human meat made in a vat. I'm not going to eat it because I'm not used to it. But then you get people some weird-ass people that have a taste for it. Okay?
And this weird-ass person's going to come to you and be like, hey, dude, just try it.
But I mean,
but there's one generation.
This human pizza is so delicious.
Yeah. But see, this one generation tries it, and then they pass it on to the next generation, and then
becomes
slowly it becomes a norm, and it's okay to
Then
eat.
you're killing your friend and eating him.
Not really. I mean, it's not a human.
I know.
We're just gonna make parts, yeah.
It's you
A
can't even,
specific part.
I mean,
What's the best part of a human?
so I
The
mean,
ass.
What's the
That's what they do with the cow and everything.
yeah, that's where all the protein's at.
It's where all the protein
That's where all
is.
the
It's
fat resides.
Yep. It's the most expensive.
Yeah, you're right.
$500,000.
But I mean, we need to stop calling human because it's not really human. Because like
Yeah,
then
it's
the definition of what is human, if I take a cell out, put it in a petri dish,
Yeah.
is that a human? If I take
No.
a heart out and put it in a dish, is that a human? No, it's not. So
it's
if
a human part?
So basically, you're
It's
just
not-
curious. You just want to know what human meat tastes like.
I'm not curious. I thought it was just interesting.
Some might
Your
be.
question.
Sam Harris's question.
Sam Harris is
Sam Harris is a carnivore. You heard it here
No,
first.
but no.
cannibal.
I'm a fact checker. I
No,
know these
we're-
things.
I'll
No.
fact check you as cannibal, by the way.
No, his point was is if we're gonna go to this extent, if people start questioning the morality of producing meat, cattle meat or chicken meat in a lab, what's gonna stop us from doing human meat? And if someone wants to do it, are we gonna say no? That's you crossing the line. Then he's gonna say, well, it's not really human. You're letting me do cow and chicken and
Right.
gorilla, if you will, or pig, and now why are you going to stop me taking a human cell and
If
turning
it's
that
just
into meat?
parts, then
Makes sense.
I guess it's all right. Go for it.
Yeah.
Ethically, it's fine, man. I think
Yeah.
it's okay. Is that what they came up to? How did Sam Harris answer that?
No, he said it just gets weird.
Definitely.
Because, so
Definitely
many
gets
people don't
weird.
want to think about these things because it is weird. I certainly don't want to think about this. I
But-
certainly
but-
don't want to think about having a Angus human burger.
I mean,
You're gonna have to.
I mean, I don't want a wet human burger or whatever. Not even human,
Unless it tastes good.
but I think
Depends on the protein.
I think it is a
content.
great solution to resolve some of the issues that we have with agriculture. I think it's a really, it's a real solution. I think, and if we can, if the technology would take us to that way, I think we need to go that route. There is no way we need to, put 1 billion cows in captivity and torture them and feed them shit
We need to let everyone
and
free.
jack them on
I agree.
and testosterone and just as soon as they have their kids.
Steroids, you're just making them bigger and bigger so their yield is more.
Yeah, same
just
thing
like
with the milk.
farming. It is literally farming. It's just like with plants,
It is farming.
you want to get seeds as far as possible. You want these plants to be as big as possible. You are farming animals. These animals have feelings. They have family systems. They have all these things, and we're just putting them in these awful situations where they live their entire life.
It tastes
watch
so
this.
good.
Watch this watch this movie. It's called Samsara, and you're gonna see cows. A pig is the one that comes to my mind, and the way they're treated, it almost made me a vegan.
Damn.
It made Ali a vegan for real.
It sounds like my life story.
And honestly, I feel so bad eating the meat. I definitely feel more conscious, and if I have a vegan
Deja
option,
vu.
I take it. I do certainly take it. When you
extra
are
steak.
when you are
As a fact checker, this is a lie. He always takes a meat option.
Protein.
Always.
no, I try to supplement more with shakes than eating meat.
He just came from a steakhouse.
You look like a steakhouse.
That's false accusations.
My worry with this is, okay, so we create this VAT system and we're creating all these meats in the lab. But what I'm afraid of is the chicken.
Okay.
The chicken becoming super intelligent if you don't eat it. It just keeps evolving and it takes over the world. What do you do then?
I mean, you control it, right? You can,
What do you mean, a chicken
look like how we
Could evolve.
Into
so
a
many
what,
chickens.
to a dragon.
Into a Raichu.
To a dragon, bro.
To a dragon.
No, I mean the same way we have that one society in that island stuck and regarding them. You do the same thing to any animal. You know? You just don't let them. You let the human dominate and rule the world. Man, cow conspiracy. I don't know if you saw that yet.
Cowspiracy.
Cow conspiracy.
Cowspiracy.
Okay, was that what it's?
I don't know. It was a joke. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. If
I thought you were
guys found
fact
it.
checking. You're like, what? I'm pretty sure it's cow conspiracy.
I'm pretty sure he stopped fact checking. He's joined the podcast.
Yeah. He's way over his 200 words. The rule was to speak when you're spoken to. I think he owns his podcast.
Hi guys.
He owns the rights.
He lobbied really hard.
Yeah.
I won. No. I just ran out of internet, so I didn't know what else to
We
do.
just have to come up with a new podcast to get rid of them.
It just got awkward sitting here quiet. Thought I'd voice my opinion.
Was that talking about cow conspiracy, right?
Yeah.
There's a scene where they show, if you look at like fishing, like back in the early days, we used to go to like rivers that were low, and you saw fish, you would try to grab them with hands, and you were then develop a spear and try to catch fish that way. Then you figured out how to develop a net. Maybe I can catch 2 or 3 more. Then they understood, okay, if I develop an even larger net, and then if 5, 10 people go and hold these corners, and when the fish are swimming through, then we all lift all at once, we'll get a higher yield. And and then you bring it to this day and age where you have these gigantic ships that have these
gigantic ships.
Yes, gigantic ships.
Just making sure.
I don't know if they get any gianter than that, but they're pretty giant. But they were showing in that video, at least they were showing where you have ships, or at least 2 ships, and they have connected nets, and and they're pretty much, they just drive through the ocean just collecting whatever the hell that goes in this freaking net. It could be salmon, or it could be whatever fish or lobster that they're going for.
Tuna.
But tuna.
Shout out to tuna.
Yeah, I mean, as they're going and they're collecting all this stuff, they're also picking up dolphins. They're also picking up sharks. They're also picking up other animals they don't use that they end up killing. So when they do, they just die and they throw them back in the ocean. And he makes a very valid point. Like, imagine if you had 2 helicopters that had giant nets, and you were going after wildebeest, for, if you will, and that's what you ate. And then if you're going after wildebeest, but in that process you start picking up elephants, cheetahs, gorillas, giraffes, humans, whatever, right? There will be an outcry. There will be an outrage of, how dare you take, Caesar the lion that died, whatever his name was. You take, in this giant net, you're just taking everything and destroying, that environment as a whole.
I feel like we don't feel bad enough about something until it's too late, where they're going extinct, and we create all these things and these programs. Let's save the panda. Let's save the yada yada. And it's like there's only like how many pandas in the world now?
But
and it's like, why get them to that point? Why are we killing off buffalo and doing all this? And it's always too late. It's always like these things are extinct, and we start feeling bad at that point.
Right, but like, what if if we can take a survey, what have us 3 have done to prevent that? Nothing, right? So
let's talk about it.
I don't want to do nothing.
Knowledge is power. This is the whole reason why I even joined this podcast. Like, let's talk about the things
you overtook this podcast.
I want to fact check, make sure you guys are saying the right things. It's just like, you let people be aware of the things that are going on, and when they're aware,
I've been aware of pandas
going
extinct. I haven't done anything. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with the world?
Well, we can't take up arms against people, can we? We're not going to do that. Well, so we can, let's say one day this podcast is heard by X amount of people, and those guys now know of the situation, and in the future, who knows? We can make changes.
Right.
We can stop things from happening before it's too late.
At the end
That's the whole point. Knowledge is power.
At the end of the day, it comes down to, because you have 24 hours in a day, it comes down to you make a list of what's most important to you, right? What's most important? What's at the top of your list? Your family. Second, your job. You make a list.
But and then, before even family, I think it's I need to survive.
100%.
You're right. Right.
If you want to get, crazy.
Yeah. So saving a panda, while if you're in that environment and you can, like, directly make a change, you're in China or whatever, it's easier to do. But when you're living on the other side of the world and there's no pandas there, you feel no connection.
Right.
You feel more connection with a dog or something that you're close to.
God, I love dogs.
So that's a problem. The world is a huge place. There's a lot of problems, and it's very nice that you have people that are taking care of pandas, and there's people on the other side taking care of dolphins.
Right.
And one funny thing I read the other day is that we think of sharks as killers of humans, right? Because of the movie Jaws.
They're beasts.
Yeah, but
They're such beasts.
but you know the funny thing is the real stat is that we kill like
More sharks.
maybe
Oh,
like
yeah.
1 million sharks, and
Humans are the biggest problem
We
on
kill-
the earth. We kill
In
everything.
Japan, was it Japan or China for the shark fin soup, whatever?
yeah. So we kill like 1 million sharks, and a shark would
so-
kill like 5 humans in a year.
Yeah.
So
we're
there's your,
terrified.
there's your thing. They
Like-
developed the. You said China or Japanese?
I think
that
Japan or China.
have
one of
the
these two.
that have the shark fin soup. They developed a taste for it.
Yeah.
So
And
I
have
mean,
you
it's all
seen?
about developing a taste. If human tasted so good, I guarantee you, I would be looking. Where can I get some more? You know, if it tastes like chocolate and it just like, it was like, oh
I
my
don't know.
god!
I hope it's
I
not
just-
real.
I don't think it could taste good to me
Yeah.
personally. My mind
Hey,
will
what
be
if I
telling
told
me
you
that
it was
this
a
is weird. It's not gonna taste good.
What if I told you it was a cheeseburger? Hey, try this cheeseburger from this. You know, I got Chicago's
Again,
best.
to make it clear,
Yeah,
we're
and
not
then
talking about
you
actual.
try it and you're like, holy shit, that's really good.
Hold on,
and I
hold
was
on.
like, guess what, bro? It's human. And then
Human
you're like,
made.
all right, give me one more. You're not gonna be like you.
I mean, if it's
throw up.
hold on, hold on.
I doubt it.
I'll
I gotta-
die. I'll die at the spot.
I'll make a burger out of you then.
No, you're talking about actual human meat or like
I don't know. It was just.
it's getting weird.
Yeah, because we're
was a
talking about
scenario.
vat. I'm thinking vat.
All right, let's
meat.
just
What did you say,
jump.
human
Let's go back into the fish. Let's just jump back into the ocean.
Okay, so back
My
to the
apologies.
sharks. We're the killer sharks.
Have you seen the videos of how they actually do that shit? So they once they do bring like the shark on board,
Yeah.
it's just fucked up, man. Like you see a giant shark, all they do is cut the fins, cut the the 3 fins, like the 2 on the side and one on
Yeah,
top,
yeah.
and dump it right back in the ocean. So this thing can no longer swim. It struggles and it
So
drowns.
why do they do the cutting part? So they can kill humans or what?
No, the fin
Why? Oh, for the soup?
for the soup. Yeah, you pull this giant shark out of the ocean, and all you take are the 3 fins that
You
it
take
has.
away its way of life. You take away
You
the
take
way
away
it-
his arms or
Wow.
fins, what fish arms,
No soup is worth it.
and they're still alive. And then you dump them back in the ocean, and they drown pretty much because they can't.
Yeah,
longer swim.
no, of course. That's like taking away your legs and arms. What do? You don't do anything.
I did not know that.
But
That's
they die. I mean, you won't die. Well, you will bleed out. But yeah, I guess they bleed out too. But it's a horrible scene, and then they do the same thing with the blue sperm whale. I
That
mean,
big whale. How do you even get that onto a ship?
you have a gigantic ship.
Is that correct that the sperm whale is the biggest?
mammal.
You're the fact checker, bro.
Big. It's the biggest mammal.
That's the only reason we brought you here.
That's fact. No, the sperm
No,
whale
but
is
yeah,
the
it is.
largest.
Yeah.
So
And
how do they? What?
they
Is that why that? Okay.
they throw a bunch of spears on it, and then once they hook it, they reel it in.
That was on one of the episodes, I think, of Planet Earth. Where
Yeah.
they have this one tribe that goes on this boat
Oh
type of
man,
thing.
that was beautiful.
And
wasn't
it's
it?
crazy
And
how
but they use it for everything. They
use everything, yeah.
They use every body part, and it lasts them. It keeps that whole city alive, and I thought it was a beautiful scene. They go in the small
that's good.
rowboats.
That makes sense.
Right.
But what I don't get is why the scenario you brought up initially about why they are getting sperm whales. Why was that?
I mean, they're big on that meat. That's like a huge
Oh my
market. It's
God.
worth a lot. It's like it's a big market, so there's not enough in the ocean.
So
then
this is something that comes to mind right away when you bring up the sperm whale and that it's a big market. I know that there was an issue with the rhinoceros. The rhinos. Is that, did I say that right?
Did you get that from Tara?
No. They take off its horn.
Yeah, I mean that's
And
the same
that's
thing
what
with
they believe it
elephants.
has medicinal purposes. And did I say that right? Rhinoceros.
Right,
Rhinoceros.
So I said it
Yeah.
right the first time.
The ivory.
So they
and
take
the tusk.
off the and they take that off and they just leave this animal like that. You know,
Yeah.
they just bleed out because there's nothing else left worth on it. So they just
It's
leave
worth
it.
a lot of money though. I mean, people
The
are willing to
horn.
pay like
The horn.
18, 20,000 or 50,000.
what?
Right? I think it's some crazy amount of
It's,
day.
yeah. It's very, very.
Yeah.
It's very expensive.
But so imagine if you're in their shoe and you're a Somalian kid, you have no economy, you're hungry, you have no food, and you just know this is an easy way to feed your city.
So anything
What would you
that's
do?
so
The whale, you mean?
No, the rhino cutting his or elephants cutting their tusks off, and
So that makes complete sense. Exactly what you brought up, right? That's a crime towards the world, taking this rhino's way of defense, way of life. You know, you're killing this animal, and so the thing that came to mind right away for me was anyone in the south side of Chicago. You know, you just don't have a way out. Those people that are really trapped in the south side, right? You don't have anything better to do than to join up with a gang, because that's going to not only offer you defense, you're with said gang, you know, these guys will take care of you, make sure you don't get shot up. And, you know, and then they'll also, you know, we'll sell drugs, yada, yada, whatever they're going to do. And you're going to do what it takes to survive. That's all we are trying to do. And, you know, and you look at these people like, what a barbarian. And they do some things that where they'll go ahead. They'll do more than they need to, but, you know, they're just trying to survive. And in a messed up way. That's
relative,
sense.
Though. I mean, if you're in their shoe, it makes perfect sense. If
I'm in their shoes, yeah. And if I look at my brother, if I look at my sister, I look at my family, the only way I'm gonna make, you know, if maybe I can make enough money one day by selling drugs to get out of here, then guess what? I'll be on that street corner selling crack if I must. No, without a this is not even funny to me. It's a very sad fact. You know, everyone, you know, and you see people complaining about relationships and stuff. Come on, man. People have worse things to worry about in their lives. And you're here complaining about, shut up.
So you know, going back to that example, so, you know, when we were talking about earlier, liberal and being conservative. So liberal feel like, you know, there should be a social responsibility, right? So when we see scenarios like the South Side, that we as a society socially intervene and help them, right? Where conservatives will say, no, it should be their own responsibility to get out because I was able to do X, Y, and Z. And, you know, I was
an outlier.
No, yeah. So I was able to, I had all the odds against me. I worked hard. If you work hard, you'll get out of there. If you don't work hard, you know, I think that's all pure bullshit, right?
So in this respect, I just read a story about LeBron James, right? So he just had a mother, and he you know, that right off the bat stacks the fact the odds against you, you know, and you turn out to be 6'10" and an absolute monster genetically. Guess what? You're gonna get out of there because you're gonna be an absolute beast in whatever sport you choose. You're just athletically gifted. Not everyone gets that. So is it like?
Some
when
do.
The odds are against
shot.
You. Do you just what?
Some do get those talents, and they get shot before they can prosper into that.
Yeah, sure. This brings up this and this is why internet is such a beautiful thing, and that's the internet's what's gonna get us further, is because I saw this amazing video the other day on Facebook. And it just startled me because what I saw was this man, and he's taking like a selfie video of some sort, and you just see him talking. He's like, "Mom, I'm hot. Mom, you know, it's a summer day, and he's just hot." And you see him drink water. Water equals life. You know, he's just drinking water, and he's alive. He's a healthy young man, just not in the right neighborhood, just not in the right situation. And you can tell the way he talks. He seems like a nice guy.
Yeah.
Right. He seems like someone I would hang out with. But you know, you read about him. He's in a gang. All right, which right off the bat you think, oh my God, what an awful person. He's in a gang, but you don't know what makes him go towards that direction, right? But anyway, the way that video ends is this guy is standing there, and he's standing on a beautiful summer day. He's in a tank top, and you see him kind of look up in that selfie video. You see him look up, and he's a little bit worried. He sees this person, you hear a few words, and next thing you hear is, you hear gunshots. Yeah. And you see him just collapse, and he's trying to pick up his phone, trying to maybe get the guy who just shot him so that he can take that. Oh yeah, I'm just going to make up a story like this. This just happened. I watched this video 3-4 days ago, and I watched it. I'm just like, oh my God. You know, this guy gets shot, and then you see the beautiful green grass, and you see a patch of it which is just completely red. Damn. You see this young person in his 20s, early 20s, gone. And you see this girl come, maybe his girlfriend. No, oh my God, he got shot. And he was a lot more she was a lot more hysterical than I can be. You know, I don't want to blow your ears up, but nor can I act such a painful terrifying scene out. You know, you got to be in that situation. And it's so sad that, you know, in Chicago, things are really, really bad. You know, you go to
certain parts of the neighborhood.
Certain parts, of course. You just go to these every day I feel like I read this person's dead, 2 died here, 3 died here, and you become so immune to it, to human life, people that you could have been friends with, beautiful, beautiful people inside that just didn't have the right situation, and that's just sad.
There's I think I was reading a bunch of numbers, I think it's 400 people are born a day and 200 people die. So, and those deaths could be...
I want to bring... I don't know if you're done on this topic, but
it's... Never done on any topic.
Of course. And the death to people being born ratio, I feel like even in a messed up way, that even is important. People,
is it or is?
No, what I'm trying to say is that resources are being used up. We're at 7 billion people.
Yeah.
Right? And we just we're expanding so fast. People are coming to this world so quick with medicine things. People are not dying as fast. And God bless their souls. I'm not saying that's anything wrong with that. But there's only so much resources. I feel like the earth can only support so many people. Is that why there's wars? Do you think that there are people up top understand this? They're like, hey, we need to get rid of some of these people. And of course I read this on theories and whatnot. But it does kind of make sense.
No, I think those people, if you were thinking like that, I think you're a psychopath. I mean, there's one way of looking at it.
I don't agree with it. I'm just saying.
No, I'm responding to it.
It's not my theory. I love life. Keep living it.
I mean, if you were smart enough, then you see this, if you're really smart and curious, you always find a solution to things, right? The solution should never be let's take away everyone's life or, to bring everything back to balance. The solution should be what can we do that's harming X, Y, and Z without, you should have all the solutions, and smart people will figure out what the right direction is, if you will. Like the Elon Musk of the world or Einstein's or Newtons. If you give them these scenarios, hopefully they can find,
Will you even have these kind of people all the time? It's not like right after Einstein died, someone else just comes up and takes his mantle. So are you going to have these smart people in the world that can make the correct decision? And how do you know that they're not, warped in a certain way? Let's say the Muslims today, they're you look at them in a certain light, unfortunately. And let's say you had an Albert Einstein of today, like, okay, so what do we do with this situation? You know what? Let's just eradicate them. Who knows? You're growing up with this. You had a few bad personal experiences with Muslims, bullying you. They happen to be Muslim, whatever. And now I'm putting this to a very extreme scenario, but it's also very possible.
No,
so you're saying one person has the power to make that decision?
Yeah, that's kind of what you just said. You just leave it up to the smart person in the world. Smart people.
No, I'm saying the people that are in power, you would hope that they would be, their intentions would be...
Trump?
No, of course not. Trump.
That's someone who's coming into power, and guess what? He wants exactly that.
But even Trump,
he's the problem.
No, but there's many checks and balances. He can't do things without the approval of the Senate and the House. That's why the founding fathers put all these checks and balances there, so that one person doesn't have all the absolute power.
Yeah, he doesn't have the support of his own. He has all the power to the military. He can move them wherever he wants.
Right.
He doesn't need the discretion of
that's a problem.
The Congress. He can go ahead and...
How about we pass a bill on that you can't go to war without the Senate agreeing or the House of Representatives.
That's how it is. You're not supposed to go to war without the approval, but I think the precedent
the
was
UN
set
condones you, and that's...
The George Bush kind of set the precedent, right? He kind of did it.
But I know that they could, if there's a scenario that tomorrow you don't have to vote, the president could decide.
Yeah, they found a loophole to go to war.
Yeah, that loophole, but I'm saying the president, I think, has the power to move the army wherever he wants. He doesn't need approval from the Congress. But to going to his point, you obviously want to have the right people in power to make the right decisions. And the answer to your question is no, we don't. If you're talking about current scenario, they would reside with, okay, there's always going to be casualties, right? And then you want to reduce that to the minimum point, and that's sad as it gets, You could come up with the scenario, and then it'll just become us versus them.
So I want to bring something up. that I've thought about quite a bit. I feel like the biggest issue that we have in this world today is the idea of division, and what divides us the most is religion. You have your Christians, you have Muslims, you have the Crusades, equals the Crusades, right? Even today, you have Christians, you have Muslims, you have and Judaism, and it's just this division, this us versus you. Why can't it just be everyone, just be us? Okay, everyone is one. We're all human beings. Why does it have to be me versus you at all?
Because Why
should we kill each other? We shouldn't.
Because you're gay, and God said there shouldn't be any gay people in the world.
Do what you want. Do what makes you happy.
But God said no.
Make me president, man. I'll take care of this.
I read this short story, which was amazing. It's about this super intelligent computer which creates its own race of people in the far future. And when you go to see, there's this one human that goes to see this race, and they all look the same. Like, imagine one generic human, and they all look the same. And then that person asks, like, what is all this? And he's like, and the computer is like, oh, we figured out how to eradicate all division. We realized that the problem was that everyone looked different, so we made everyone look the same. Now we have no problem.
Isn't it true that if you keep, mating interracially or whatever.
Get closer to the mic.
If we keep mating like interracially, we all will end up brown, or is that not a fact? I read that.
I don't know. Our skin colors has to do with what part of the equator you are and how the sun.
Yeah, that's fact.
I mean, if you look at the hotter places like in Africa and you look at Pakistan or Mexico, you get a darker, or lighter tan, and whereas if you're in the colder areas, you're more light. And I forgot the science behind it, but it has to do with
it's your pigment.
Yeah, well, the pigment changes due to the sun.
But then that gets passed on. But if you're mixing north and south and different equator,
everyone just kind of.
So you're probably gonna end up beige or something. That's gonna be the future race.
Yeah, but I think it also helps them survive, right? So when you have that lighter tan, you don't get beat up by the sun. I think you reflect more. The light, so you don't observe that heat. Whereas if you're in the colder area, you want much light as possible so you can conserve heat.
Isn't it if you're darker you absorb more heat?
Huh?
Isn't it the other way around? If you're darker you absorb more heat. Like the color black absorbs more heat than lighter color. That's why you wear lighter colors during the summer.
Right, but I think as far as skin color, I think then why would we genetically? I don't know. I will look it up. Obviously, you're the fact checker.
Go ahead. What were you trying to say?
No, I thought, I don't know. I read this sometime. I think in high school. I'm not sure if it's correct, but I'll look into it. But I thought the idea was, in hotter areas, you don't want to observe as much as heat as underneath the south of the equator. The sun is pounding on you. You want to be able to reflect some of it. Whereas in the winter, Are you
saying they're lighter towards the equator? Because that's not true.
No, I'm saying you get darker to reflect the light, if you will.
No, you become darker because you absorb the light. You don't get to decide what my skin.
That's what I'm saying. I read something in high school that my teacher taught me. I'm trying to recollect.
Let me fact check your teacher then.
Or you are darker, so you've already absorbed. Enough heat and light.
Yeah. But it's something to do with like to keep you, not for you to. I don't know. I could be wrong. Let's take a look into it.
Yeah.
All good.
Ding.
All right, fellas.
That was interesting.
That was a good one.
Was it?
Yeah, I thought so.
Someone fact checked that real quick.
All right, man.
It's fact.
Yeah.
Peace out.
All right, guys. Take it easy.
Take it easy, guys.
Have a good one.